Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. My name is Nurin Aqilah matrix number 33 DIB 20F1004 from Group 4 DIB4. This is the list of my teammate. First is me myself, next IZZATULJANNAH binti Cik Nurin 23 DIB 20F1005, and SHAQIRA binti Abdul Aziz 23 DIB 20F1007, and lastly LAILATUL AMIRAH binti Makzul 23 DIB 20F1035. So today, my groupsmate and I will present about suicide in subject Communicative English 3. So first, we're gonna look at problem statement in suicide issue. What is suicide? So suicide is one of the leading causes of death in the world, especially among young people. So suicide means ending your own life. It is something a way for people to escape from pain or suffering. A large proportion of people who die by suicide suffer from mental illness and any other causes. When a person dies by suicide, the effect will felt by family, friends, and communities. Okay, in this page, we can see most of these posts express the concern or worries of a person or institution about the issue of suicide. Next, as you know, from the problem statement earlier, we will discuss and display regarding opinion of people about suicide. We will start with objective.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is LAILATUL AMIRAH binti Makzul. My matrix number is 23DIB20F1035. I would like to talk about my objective, which is my part is knowing what they feel before deciding to commit suicide.
Second, find out how participant can help someone who is contemplating suicide, like method they will do if seeing someone is about to commit suicide.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SHAQIRA binti Abdul Aziz. My number matrix 23DIB20F1007. Objective of our presentation is knowing what they feel before decide to commit suicide. Is it feel guilty? Is it because they feel guilty about what they did before, or something that cannot be forgiven, or being so useless?
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is IZZATULJANNAH binti Cik Nurin. My matrix number 23DIB20F1005. I will continue to the last objective is to identify which parties are important for suicide prevention. From 50 respondents' opinions in this presentation, we can know which parties are more important in this suicide issue. Next is methodology. The questionnaires are distributed to more than 40 people from various age, and the questionnaires consist of two sections, which are section A and B. The data was analyzed using Microsoft Excel.
We continue with data analysis. From the analysis of the data, we obtain the first question is about the methods to help those who are contemplating suicide. From this bar graph, it completely shows the result of a survey in how can participants or responders help someone who is contemplating suicide. Via this graph, it is totally show that the highest percentage is 35.3% of responders that will encourage and persuade person who is contemplating suicide. This is followed by blue segment that is make friends with them, which is 31.4%. The third largest segment is bring them to counselor, which is 27.5%. Only a small minority prefer give food and drink, and no one answer the pink segment, which is ignore them. So in conclusion, since encourage and persuade them and make friends with them are the most popular choices, this graph clearly shows that many people will do the same method to help someone who is contemplating suicide. Next, we also recorded response of others about suicide. I made a bar graph chart based on the response we received. From this bar graph, it is clear that the highest percentage is 43.1% of responders that will upset if they know someone is about to commit suicide. This is followed by blue segment that represents sad response with 37.3% result. Continue with the highest largest segment, which the purple one with 9.8% that represent relief response. Last but not least, in this graph we can see that satisfies response in pink color segment with 6% result, and only a small minority will be happy. In conclusion, since upset response is the most popular choices, this bar graph clearly shows that many people will give this response when someone they know or did not know decide to commit suicide. So now we move on to another slide that is illustration of responders' future. In this slide, I made a pie chart, so I'm sure everyone clearly see that the biggest piece of this chart is chance of living a bright future, with the highest percentage of 18.4%. This is followed by the darkest color, which is the dark purple that represent disappointment and dark future with 5.9%. Continue with the third largest segment with 3.9%. If you can see here, there is two segments with the same percentage. There is red one and that represent regret of being alive, while orange segment represent no future and death. And lastly, with small amount of 1.9%, that in peach color that represent getting worse. In conclusion, since chance of living a bright future are the most highest choices, this pie chart obviously show that many people are describe or illustrate their future with chance of living and high future, which is so in good and positive side.
Next slide is feeling before decide to commit suicide. So as we can see in the pie chart show almost 74.5% because of despair. Second, 9.8% for being hopeless or useless. And for broken is 5.9%. And next, 5.5% because of upset or angry. And the last one, the list in the pie chart show 4.3% because of disappointed. So next, I will explain of age group with the most suicide happen. As you can see in the bar graph show, for under 12 is 0. And for 18 to 17 have almost 6 people. 18 until 13 have the most highest numbers of suicide happen, that is 42 people. 31 to 15 is 2 people, and the last above 15 is 1 people. So next, gender with the most involved in suicide is the lowest is male, that is 19.6%, and the highest is female, that is 18.4%.
Okay, the first question that I got is a reason why people attempt to suicide. We go to the chart. The pie chart show the result of survey in which common reason people attempt to suicide. From this pie chart is clear 27.5% of common reason people attempt suicide because of the family problem. Okay, this followed by love partner, which is 25.5%. And the third largest segment is because of the environment, which is 23.5%. Only small minority choose because of debts. And friends, both are 19.6% and 3.19%. In conclusion, since many people choose family problem and love partner, this chart clearly shows the common reason people attempt to suicide. Okay, next, from the bar chart, the highest is the people like to choose to keep it their problem, and the lowest choose is to talk to counselor. From this survey, maybe they don't trust people to share their problem, or they're afraid if people cannot understand what they feel. Okay, next, the mental illness that contributes to suicide. We have here depression, anxiety, mental disorder, and all of them. Many people choose all of them. is because the reason that mental illness contributes to suicide, which is we got 56.9% equal to 29 people. This problem may be the reason they want to give up with their life.
The bar graph shows the 5 methods people usually use to commit suicide. That is hanging, cutting, drowning, jumping from a building, and overdosing pills. The highest method that participants choose is overdosing pills, which is 18 participants or 36% of the participants choose this method as the most common method used to commit suicide. This is followed by the jump off the building method, which is 16 participants or 32% of the participant. The third method chosen by participants is cut and hanging. The both method contributes the same number of participants, which is 8 participants or 16% of the participants choose this method as the most common method used to commit suicide. And lastly, no one of the participants choose the drowning method. In conclusion, the bar graph clearly shows overdose pill is the method that usually used to commit suicide, and that is very dangerous. The infographic chart shows the results of the survey that we asked in Google Form about their opinion which party is important in preventing suicide. As we can see in the infographic chart, the highest party that participants choose is 42%, which is family members. This is followed by own self, which is 38%. The third largest percentage is friends, which is 8%, while for government and educator is small minority preferred by participants. The both party contributes the same percentage, which is 6%. In conclusion, since family members and own self are the most popular choices, this chart clearly shows this both party is very important in preventing suicide. Suicide is very bad for everyone. Therefore, it is very important for all of us to prevent such incident from happening. One way to prevent that from happening is by identifying the symptoms of suicide. This pie chart shows 5 symptoms that we can identify. As we can see, the highest symptoms that participants choose are behavioral changes such as isolation and excessive anxiety. Both symptoms contribute the same percentage, which is 38%. This is followed by poor appetite, which is 14%. Third symptoms is irritability, which is 6%, and not maintaining self-appearance is the small minority preferred by the participants, which is 4%. In conclusion, since behavioral changes such as isolation and excessive anxiety are the most popular choices, it is clear that if we see someone experiencing such symptoms, we should take appropriate action in order to reduce the incidence of suicide.
So, in a nutshell, show a person feeling before wanting to commit suicide are feeling hopeless or useless due to some specific reason, such as family problem or breakup. So, we must have a strong mental health to prevent yourself from committing suicide.
In conclusion of all, via the result we can see, participants highly choose to be positive and help those who are trying to commit suicide. Clearly, we still have a lot of people who cares of each other.
Okay, the conclusion for my chart is from the research. It shows that common reason people to attempt suicide because of the family problem. Okay, if we have a family members or friends that have a problem, we need to speak with them, or we need to help them to talk about their self, to share any problem.
Lastly, analytical data also shows that family members and own self are the most important parties in suicide prevention. Therefore, the relevant parties need to take appropriate action to prevent prevent suicide. For example, families should provide appropriate love so that suicide victims feel more valued and often counsel them well but effectively. Oneself is also very important to prevent suicide, that is, by loving yourself and thinking accordingly before acting to do something.
Okay, next slide we go to recommendation, which is the teenagers should take this matter seriously, even though the number of teenagers who having a problem because it could and may lead to suicidal too. The teenagers are not too strong to handle their problem by their own. Sometimes they need someone can be there for them. Therefore, the idea of find new hobby and try to comfort with our own feeling, can be the first step in solving this problem. That's all from me. Thank you.
So lastly, for the reference, the first link is a Google form link that we have made a questionnaire, and we refer to the information in Google to make a Google form regarding suicide. So here is the link about our reference